Hi everybody, today we're going to take a quick look at pie charts. We're going to read, interpret, and then create them in Excel. Pie charts represent data based on their proportion of the whole. We call parts of the pie chart slices, just like we have slices of a pie that we eat. A pie chart works best with a small number of categories or slices. If you have more than 7 categories, you could group categories together as an other, or you might decide to make an entirely different kind of graph that's more representative of the data. Let's look at an example of Toyota employees by region in 2023, and I grabbed this information from Statista. Notice that they put the categories together as Asia, Europe, North America, Japan, and then other. This kept the number of slices down to a minimum. I do want to point out Asia says Asia excluding Japan versus Japan. This is because Japan represents a large portion of Toyota employees and they didn't want to group them in with the entire continent. So we're going to do some interpretation and calculations. Given that Toyota had 375,235 employees in 2023, let's figure out how many were in North America. So we look at our slice of North America and it says 13%. We need to multiply this 13% by the total number of employees. We have 0.13 times 375,235, which gives us 48,788.55. Because we're talking about people, we don't like to have decimals, so we're just going to go ahead and do traditional rounding here and call this 48,781. Let's try one more. This time, let's find how many employees were in Asia, and we want to include Japan. Because we're including Japan, we are looking at two slices. We're looking at the Asia slice of 27% and the Japan slice of 19%. So I'm going to add those two values together. 0.19 plus 0.27 is 0.46. Now I'll take this 0.46 and multiply it by our whole. We have 0.46 times 375,235 gives us 172,608.1. Just like last time, we're going to get rid of the decimal, which says we have 172,608 employees from Toyota in the continent of Asia. So now let's flip it around and let's create our own pie chart. We're going to use information from usafacts.org, which said in September of 2023, we had 453,551 active duty members of the Army, 332,322 active duty members of the Navy, 318,698 active duty Air Force members, 172,577 Marines, and then 8,879 members of the Space Force. I'm going to take this data, put it in Excel, and we're going to create a pie chart. So here's the data that I copied and pasted into Excel, and I'm going to highlight all of the data, including the titles, and I'm going to hit Insert, and then you could go to Recommended Charts or you can go to Charts. I'm going to hit Recommended Charts just because it gives me a nice preview of all of the charts. I can click on the pie chart, and notice it did incorporate the title, number of active duty members. I'm just going to add in the date to make it a little more specific. So let's enlarge my chart. And I'm doing that by just clicking and dragging. So I'm going to click on the title and add in September 2023. I'm also going to add in that this is the U.S. military, but you can kind of wordsmith that the way that you want to. Now I can see a key here that tells me the different branches and it shows me the colors even though the Space Force is really small. What I want to do is add percentages to the pie chart. So I'm going to hit the plus sign. The plus sign is going to give me options and I want to click Data Labels and then I want to click Over so that I have more options. In the more options, I want to add the percentage to the chart and I don't really need the value. Now that looks really small right now, so I'm going to go home and I'm going to click on the font and make it larger. If we wanted to, we could also add the category name. which would put it inside of the slice. The only one that's not inside the slice is Space Force because it just is such a small piece of the pie. If you would like to change any colors, you can click on them. Maybe you don't think it's very clear to see the dark font on the dark slice, so you could go home and you could change the color to make it contrast. When you do that, be careful. Make sure that you're paying attention to where all the numbers show up. So I can change it to white on most of the slices, but the slice that is outside that represents Space Force, I don't want to change that one to white because then it wouldn't show up. So we do just want to be a little careful. I'm also going to go to my title and maybe make that a little bit larger, so it really stands out as the title. Because it was overlapping with the Space Force, I just kind of changed the size again so that I can see it clearly. That way, if I want to copy it and paste it somewhere else, it's legible. And let me just show you that. Let's copy it. And I'm going to paste it into a Word document to make sure I can still see everything. So if you have any problems, even inside of Word, you can move it around. You could decrease the font if it doesn't show up well. That way we can force it back into the right alignment. So hopefully you see this is a really easy way to quickly make a pie chart, and you're never going to have to draw this by hand. And you don't have to tell Excel how big to make each slice. It'll do it for you.